It's time for Ask Your Auntie, the show that gets real with teen girls about life. They ask, and we answer with tea. Tools for excellence and achievement. The goal? To help girls make better decisions in real time. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie. Now here's your host, Marisa Terrell, Esquire.
Got questions? Ask your auntie. I'm Marisa Terrell, but you can call me Auntie M, and I'm director of the High Tea Society Foundation and the host of this podcast, Ask Your Auntie. So, what's the High Tea Society, you might ask? We are a life skills program for girls founded in 1997 by Judge Mary Terrell. Now, our goal is to build up the resiliency of girls to resist unhealthy influences. So here at Ask Your Auntie, we provide teen girls with reliable answers to their questions. Let's meet our guest for today. Hey, Auntie Tori.
Hello everyone.
Welcome to Ask Your Auntie.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're so glad you're here, but you're not a stranger to High Tea Society, right? You've been a member working with us for, since when?
I think it was like 2018 when we...
That seems so long ago.
It really was when we started working on the virtual program together.
That's right, the virtual program. So that Purple Tea, you were on the advisor and still are
Thank you.
On the advisory
Absolutely.
board for our digital program. Very instrumental in helping us create that business plan, which has really helped us crystallize how we were going to move into this digital landscape.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. And I'm just so proud of you guys. Like where the program is now is amazing. Amazing work you've done, Marissa.
We have, with the help of folks like you, been able to kind of move this program from live and in person to this virtual sort of interface. And we're still working on it.
Yeah.
And this podcast is sort of part of that iteration. So thank you
you're welcome.
for working with us.
Thank you. I love the program. It's a wonderful space. I love what it stands for and giving back to the girls of our community. It's amazing. So thank you.
Love it. Okay, so we're going to get started because really, first, we really want to take a minute and get to know Tori, right? We got to get to know Auntie Tori because for all of our sugars out there, these are our girls.
Yeah.
The first thing, before you take advice from somebody, right?
Right.
You got to know who you're talking to.
Absolutely.
Do you respect this person? Can you trust this person? Because we don't take directions from people who are lost.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not. Absolutely.
So we want to figure out who the heck is Aunt Tori and what is she all about? So let's start with, what's your full name?
Okay, so my full name is AunTea Gaylord. Okay,
Ooh,
but
AunTea.
yeah,
That sounds so fancy.
You think so? Okay, so it was a name that my parents got from a Black beauty pageant. I'm not going to talk about the year, but yes, and she was the winner. So that's where my name came from. But mostly, everyone who knows me calls me Tori. So my friends, girls, anybody, everybody calls me Tori. So that's
I feel like I'm inside that clique. So I'm going to call you Auntie Tori. Okay, so Auntie Tori, where do you live? Where are you from?
Right now, I live in Alexandria, Virginia, but I am originally from Fort Washington, Maryland.
Okay, she's from the DMV.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, from Maryland.
Born and raised.
Okay, super. And so what do you do now, for work?
So for work, I am a media and a branding consultant, but I have a background in journalism and television production and things like that. So I've been in the industry for a long time. I love it. I love doing things like this, but usually I'm the one that's behind the scenes. I'm usually a producer.
Well, today you're a talent.
Thank you. You're bringing me up to the front forefront.
You are in the front, and we got you right here.
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
super. So that's what you're doing for work. Now, when you were in high school, is that what you thought you would be doing for work?
Oh, no. I had lofty dreams.
Don't we all?
No, but I thought I was going to be, honestly, I thought I was going to be famous. I thought I was going to be a model. I wanted to be Tyra Banks. Believe it or not, 5'10", I had the same type of, appearance as she does. And so I just thought, I can make it, So unfortunately, that's I wasn't really as focused on my studies as I should have been back in that time. So Yeah.
Okay, but you're still doing, you're still in that field. And I love that you sort of navigated there. We will hopefully get a moment to talk about that journey.
Yes,
if not today, another session.
Yeah, girl's crazy.
Right?
It's
okay.
crazy.
So as you are, I'm sort of trying to think back, But before we sort of cast our mind back, what do you do today working? If you're working, you got to be doing something for fun to kind of jazz it up.
Well, I have a work-life balance thing going on right now. So currently I am a caregiver for my dad, who is dealing with Alzheimer's and things like that. But, when I'm not working, I'm not doing that. I spend a lot of time with my friends. We hang out. We get together in these kind of sister circles. We work out. We go out. We shop. Just typical things that someone of my age would be doing, but more than anything, it's about self-care for me nowadays. And so, going to spas, getting your nails and stuff done, that's kind of like my focus is making sure, absolutely, that I take care of myself.
It's important, especially when you're carrying. Well, they always say when you're on the plane, you got to put the mask on yourself first.
You absolutely do.
To the others that are around you.
You're no good for anyone else if you're not taking care of yourself first.
Yeah. And that's, you can sort of take that lesson now and cast it back to high school. Okay, so even though you have all these responsibilities, you still have to carve out a little bit of time for yourself. If possible. Okay, so as a teen, let's talk about Tori as a teen.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, where did you fit into the family?
Where did I fit? Okay, so I was the youngest, only girl, and I was the wild child.
The wild child.
I was the one that, my mother's a scientist, and my father is a computer analyst. And education was really big in my house and doing the traditional route. So I was always an artist, dancing, singing, writing, that kind of thing. And so that's what appealed to me. And so I leaned towards that even as a teen and even as an adult now. So that's kind of where my head was. I just was always thinking about, entertainment and singing and dancing and acting and all of those things. So
I love that. Okay, and still in the same space. That's good. And you can see that through your personality.
Really?
It's like vivacious. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Okay, so what kind of responsibilities did you have? Because kids back then and now.
Yes.
What were you? Any responsibilities that you were in charge of? Or?
No. I mean, my mother. Well, yes and no. My mother had a very strict way of bringing us up, and so by 15 in our household, we had to work. At not 16, at 15. Okay, it was that.
What kind of work were you doing at 15?
My mother was signing the little slips to make sure that right. So my first job, believe it or not, was working at the FBI. At 15 years old, I was a fingerprint clerk. So they would have these fingerprint cards. They would get them from criminals, right? And I would have to cross compare them and check them with the FBI's.
Wow,
yeah, it was paying a lot of money.
That's a lot of responsibility. At 15, man, you were the checker to see if anybody.
I know. And I was getting paid $8 an hour, right?
Big money
that was huge money then. So you couldn't tell me anything. And it was amazing. That's when I first discovered, how important money was and how powerful it was.
Yes.
So that was really important in my house, and education, of course, and so there was an extreme focus on that. And, the last thing is my mom was, when we were in our junior year of high school, was preparing us for the real world. So she would say, hey, once you graduate high school, you got to go to college or, you have to go to the military, you have to do something. But you can't stay in our house.
I think I heard the same thing from my mother.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. It was like, what is the plan?
Right. What is
Articulate the plan and implement the plan.
But there has to be a plan. But the plan is you can't stay here. That's the plan.
That's the plan. That's so funny. How similar. Okay.
Yeah, oh my God. It was old school parenting.
Yes.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. But some of our girls are facing the same.
Are they? Well, it's okay.
It's the same command function.
Really?
That's right. So what was high school like then? Big school? You had a big school with a co-ed?
I went to Oxon Hill. I know Oxon. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm telling my age, but I went to school with Taraji Henson. She was a few years older than me. Okay. But it was a big school. It was multifaceted. Yes, it was. We had, different types of races, and it was really cool. I mean, so I was just like any other girl trying to figure it out and fit in, and I wanted to be around the big kids, and and so I first you're just trying to navigate, and then by 11th grade or something, I think that's when I became into my own, and it just kind of was. That's when I discovered boys.
I see.
Yeah,
did that change your trajectory?
It did. It absolutely did.
A little bit of a pivot.
That's why I think this is a perfect.
Okay, I think I got the right questions for you.
Oh, you do.
Okay. All right. So before we go further, and before we jump into our questions presented by our sugars, I want to just take a minute and kind of figure out who we're going to dedicate this episode to. I feel like we should dedicate this to little Tori.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Seriously, Marissa?
I think we're going to dedicate it to her, to the high school Tori, who is like hanging out, having a good time, trying to figure things out.
Oh, wow.
Who's got, body for days.
Okay.
I
did. Oh my God. That's really wonderful. And I'm just like really touched by that. Thank you. That's because when you're being kind of this kind of out there teen, and to come back and it kind of comes all full circle back to this, and wow, I just thank you for that.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's jump in.
Okay.
So these questions are coming from girls all over the place, but more specifically from Washington Leadership Public Charter School. It's a school in Northeast.
Okay.
And we're starting with a lot of their questions because we worked with them last semester and kind of got to know a lot of our girls, and we certainly didn't want to leave them hanging. We wanted to give them answers to the questions they presented. Okay.
Absolutely.
So the first one, this is for a young lady saying, I don't like school. Okay. I don't want to go. What do you think?
I've been there. Okay. I've been there. And, what I would say to her is to still stick with it, even though she doesn't understand or see the immediate payoff. Education is still so much very important in our society and towards getting work and towards your future. I would not gamble that. I mean, for me, it would be much more, it's much easier to get a job with education than in the real world than without.
Absolutely.
That's just me. That's how I feel about it. So even though you don't understand why you're there and why you have to do it, the goal is to get the degree and then your life skills, and then, you can move on. But no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Don't quit school.
Remember I hated school, and it wasn't
Right.
It wasn't because I wasn't good at it. I was just like, why can't I just stay home and read these books?
Right.
Take this test and move on. Like, why do I have to engage? I didn't want to encounter folks.
I think most kids don't like school.
It was too much for me.
We didn't understand it. We didn't understand it. And it was a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. But I remember my mom saying, you got to learn how to get along with people. You have to learn how to engage with people and to kind of be able to balance. Because there's a lot of things in your life you're not going to like. Yeah. You're not going to like going to work either.
That's a wonderful perspective.
You got to figure out a way to do it. And then also, we're talking about money.
Yeah.
Even these days, as old as I am, they're still asking me for a transcript, girl. When I apply for, they do that to you?
No,
is that a legal
not
thing?
yet.
Maybe that's law school. As a lawyer, they are constantly. They want to first guarantee that you graduated from every school, so they want to see transcripts from high school, college, law school, and I'm kind of glad that I actually did navigate through it properly because I'd hate for them to look and see D's and whatever because
I'm surprised to hear that from high school.
Yes. So I'm saying to my sugars out there, please stay in school and actually look at it as like a adventure.
Yes.
All right, a time for you to try new things.
Yes.
Try to be a cheerleader. I was terrible at it. I couldn't remember the steps, so that didn't work out for me.
Yeah, high school was. It was. I mean, I wasn't into cheer. I wanted to be when I was growing up. It wasn't cool to be into any real the cheerleading and all of that stuff.
Cool?
No, that wasn't cool. No, it wasn't. And let me tell you, Taraji Henson, she was not into any of the acting stuff until she went to college. I mean, that was a difficult time. That was a different time. We were fly girls back then. Oh, that's what it was.
I see. I remember that with the asymmetrical. Y'all were salt and pepper. I don't know what I was. I was probably a little orphan Annie.
Oh, no.
I did not. I was a late bloomer. But this is not about me. This is about you.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, thank you for that. I feel like that's a good answer for her. I hope that she sees that. Yeah, you have to go. You got to suck it up and go. But honestly, if there's something going on in your school where you're feeling uncomfortable, meaning you're being bullied, or there's some sort of challenge, that's the time for you to speak up so that, if something's really bad, maybe there's a way we can navigate to a different school, but you got to go to somebody's school.
Yes.
Okay. How about this? Should I date an older man? Auntie Tori, what do you think?
Oh, Lord, mercy.
Because they're out here.
They are, and times change, but the situations between men and women do not change.
This is the same folklore.
So, right. It's just, so the answer is no, you shouldn't. You know, I was faced with such a situation when I was 15 and I was being approached by grown men. I don't know if I made the greatest decisions, but I knew it was wrong. I knew it was inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? And I would just advise the girls that, you know, the relationships are not...
They're not equal.
No, they're not equal. And they're surrounded by the physical. I'm trying to delicately put that. I
mean, it's usually they want the physical, they want the intimacy.
Yes.
They want, this
That's
is
what
about
it's based
sex
around.
mainly.
Right.
This is what they're into. And so they're usually looking for someone that they can control.
Yes,
when you're
think
younger,
R. Kelly.
Yeah, when you're younger. And so for a grown man to target a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, that's a balance of power.
Yeah,
so you have to ask. It's not that you're not cute or whatever.
No.
I mean, like, yeah, you are adorable. You are, you know, whatever. But when guys approach you like that, it's usually they're wanting something in exchange.
Yeah, and it's just it's just too creepy. I would tell the girls to just stay, you know, be kids.
Yeah,
you know,
because
it goes by very quickly. You have the rest of your lives to be an adult. You know, so try to stay a child as long as you can, or a young person, because you know a lot of times young people are in a rush to grow up, and it's just there's nothing out here. I promise.
Right.
Not
Plenty
in that respect.
I mean, I will say, because again, I wasn't really dating until after high school, right? So I, late bloomer. So, but it all wasn't lost for me.
No.
So if you slow down, it'll be okay. You don't have to do everything at once. But certainly, older guys, yes, definitely beware. Do you have any cautionary tale you want to share with us? Anything?
Okay, so
give me some specifics.
So when I was 15, I was dating someone who was 23 years old.
Okay, older guy.
And I didn't know. I just thought, oh, okay, he's cool. And, and he used to take me to Howard University to like these college parties. And I was always like 5'10" and skinny and, beautiful. I had eyes and everything else. And I was quiet. So no one really knew that I was 15, I think we dated for all like 3 or 4 months. And then the relationship was uncomfortable. It just was inappropriate. He took me to the Prince concert. I remember that.
Prince, it does make you pause. If Prince, to folks these days, that would be like a Drake concert.
Yes.
That'd be like a Drake concert.
Right. I'm 15. I didn't know. I just wanted to go to see Prince.
Right. So that's a lot. Yeah. That's a big, prize to dangle over. So you have to be. It's so hard when you're younger.
You don't know, and if you don't have anybody and you're around you telling you that this is not right or you shouldn't be doing this, you're just gonna go what you know.
Right.
And
but there's risk there.
Right.
There's risk. You can't control your environment.
No.
You don't have access to the exit necessarily.
No, absolutely
They're
not.
usually controlling your transportation. And if there was something nefarious or something bad, they can certainly take you there. You'd have absolutely no way out. If they took your phone, that would be it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true though.
Right?
And it's true. So I just knew that it wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
And so I took control of it. Actually, I met a little boy after that I was 15, he was 16. His name was Adam. Right. And he became like the love of my life. And so I was just like, oh my God, I was into the boy that was my age.
Okay.
And I broke up with the older guy, So that's, but if I had to do it over again, I would never have had that relationship. But yeah, so no, stay away from the grown men, girls.
Okay. So sugars, we're going to stay away from the grown men. And if you have a question about that, you can DM us at High Tea Society INC. Okay. Now, how do you know? Here's another question. How do you know if a person has love for you, like in a relationship?
That's a good one.
What do you think?
For me, I'm just trying to think back to Teenage Tori.
Teenage Tori, that's right.
That was, during that time. I was always interested in being a star, or being Tyra Banks or whatever, right? Being top model, right? And so for me, I know back then we used to always write on our books, boys before books and things like that. It was always catered around relationships, but I was always say no, it's me before boys. You know what I mean? It's books before boys. And so my advice is, just to take care of yourself. And if the boy that you're dating is in support of you, all right, and respects you, respects your parents, respects their rules, respects your boundaries, and is in full support of what you want to do with your life,
right.
That's when you know that someone is truly into you and respects and loves you. I mean, and you can carry that. That's just not for like the teenagers. That's for the grown women out there too. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us, right, and pouring themselves into a good man will find you and he'll see who you are and will support you.
Right.
That
the things that you like to do, they will allow you to do those things, encourage you to do those things.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's
and there's
the word.
and then there's the respect. The respect. That's really important. I know that as we kind of talked in another episode about love, I was always raised that love is a verb, right? And that you can determine whether somebody cares for you based on how they treat you and the actions.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So, putting money in your hand, that's a Terrell thing. Okay, that's how we show that we love you, we support you, we want you to do well. Sending you a card in the mail, sending you a note, like showing up for your games. Like when people are, saying things about you, they're saying, no, that's not true, or protecting your name, that kind of stuff. It's like, what are they doing? Because if they're not doing that, and this is always just about physical things or always just about them wanting to hang out with you in your environment where you're catering to them all the time.
And it's so different nowadays. All the kids are online and DMing and text. I mean, they have everything at their fingertips. And there's so much temptation. Yeah. I'm surprised anyone can focus nowadays on their relationships.
It's hard to focus.
It's hard for adults to focus on it. Just thinking about the kids. Yeah. I mean, so, it's a slippery slope. And I just would just say, just have that balance with the relationship because you're so young and you have, 9 times out of 10, it probably, I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but I'm just saying, I'm a realist on this, that, is it going to go into something else? Right. And, you have to be careful because sometimes, the wrong boy will bring a baby. You know what I mean? And you got to be careful.
Derail you in all kinds of ways.
Exactly.
So like if you could be like focused on trying to be, I don't know, a doctor or something. And so the wrong guy would be like, oh, you don't need to study.
Yes.
You don't need to go to that class. And that will totally take you off. And so if they left the picture, you don't want to be sitting there with all these regrets of what you could have, should have done.
No.
So you want to make sure you follow what you want to do. Get your plans in order.
Right. Don't give someone else the power over your life in that respect. You take care of yourself and the right man will support you and he'll come along and that'll be the man. You'll know that respects and loves you. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. They understand that.
A good man doesn't take from you. He adds to.
He's adding.
Right.
He's supporting. Okay. Still in the, so this is, can you tell that this is like a dating relationship conversation?
Right.
Okay. Here's another one because I stacked them all just for you, AunTea Tori. Okay.
It's fine.
Here's another one. Should I date my guy if he gave me an STD? Should I stay with him?
No.
No. That is already telling you that he is not loyal.
That's it. Period.
He's not loyal.
No.
And the problem, of course, we know people make mistakes, right? People make mistakes, but this is your body. You only got one. Okay.
Right.
And so the things out here, if he's someone who is not putting you first or who not ready to settle down, you're putting yourself at a horrible risk to stay with them.
Right, and you can't take those kind of chances. The irresponsibility of it all. I mean, you don't know if he give you hope and pray that, if you get something, it's something light. But what if it's something like AIDS or something that you can't, or herpes or something you can't get rid of?
Cannot get rid of.
No, yeah. So definitely run.
Right, and I know the follow-up is always, oh, well, if you love me, you would support me. If you love me. No. You say yes, but I love me.
That's right.
Okay? And
that's right.
I remember, my parents always would try to tell me the difference between love and charity. You can love someone from afar.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't have to. If you saw them in the street and they were hungry, absolutely give them some food.
Of course.
You did not invite them to your home and have them sit at your table. No, ma'am. Not if they.
No.
But you can still be kind. Okay.
Yes.
So. Right. No, that's called a deal breaker.
Yes.
All right. Very, very risky.
Run, ladies, run.
Okay.
Don't look back.
Nope. Okay. How about this one? I don't think that I'm pretty. This is one of my sugars saying, I don't think I'm pretty. How do I build up my self-confidence? First of all, you are beautiful. I haven't even seen you. but I know it.
You're breaking my heart with that, that you even feel that way. Because all of us are beautiful. And even though I know society, everyone is doing everything to make themselves seemingly perfect, with the surgeries and this, that, or another, that's not real.
Right.
And
damaging.
Right. It's very damaging. And so I find beauty in imperfection. I find beauty in just being yourself and not trying to be like everyone else. And, so if you're feeling like you're not attractive or beautiful, find things that you like about yourself, and so love, love your skin and your eyes, your hair, love how you get along with your family or, whatever it is. But, find things about you that make you unique.
How, Tori? How? How do we do it?
You just have to, listen, when I was a kid, I used to know that I used to write and I used to dance and I knew I was a good dancer, right? So I was like, you're a great dancer. So, you don't need validation. The whole thing is trying not to have or seek validation from others.
Yeah.
You have to be able to have that self-love for yourself, to be able to tell yourself that you're wonderful, you're special, you deserve to be here. We're all here, and so that's what I would start with, loving yourself. Because there's a problem when you say, I'm not beautiful. I mean,
right, because
where does that
beauty,
come from?
first of all, beauty in this country is power.
Yes.
Right. And so we know, I think Audre Lorde talked about, it's powerful when you say that I'm beautiful, because in this country it means something. So I feel like you've got to give yourself these affirmations.
You do.
I think I heard you say another time we were talking about how you would talk to yourself and you would say to yourself, I do that too in the mirror, especially on days when I'm feeling kind of low or I've got a big project where I'm speaking somewhere. I'm like, okay, Marisa, you can do this.
That's right.
This, you know how to do this. You are da-da-da. And I'm going through the litany.
It's true.
Important.
You have to be your own cheerleader. Because just think of it like this. When everyone's left the room and you're by yourself, I mean, what are you saying to yourself?
Yeah.
Are you building yourself up? Are you tearing yourself down?
Yes.
And learning to work with, why are you tearing yourself down? Why don't you feel great about yourself? And focus on the things that you are good at and things that make you smile, And I think that if you continue to do that, it becomes a habit, and then it becomes your own affirmations, and it becomes a way of life, and it makes you resilient. Because that's the most important thing, is not seeking outside validation from anyone.
Absolutely.
Like me, listen, you can't tell me anything. I mean, I know I'm great. You know what I mean? In my own, you have to tell yourself that. You need to.
You have to do it. And it's like this fine line for being like a mean girl. Right. You don't want to be a mean girl, but we're talking about having enough confidence and self-awareness that you can that you will still walk in the room, even if you don't know everybody in there.
Right. That's right. Healthy confidence that you need to have and possess. But that takes time. There's a lot of women that I know that don't even, grown women who are still working on that aspect. So, and show yourself some grace,
be kind to yourself.
Very kind to yourself, because the world life is difficult, so you don't need to add and compile and put on top of that as well. Love yourself.
I remember one of the main things growing up, because, I'm, my mom, well, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that in our communities that we always have different things that we rank as beautiful, right?
Yes.
We rank different colors, different hair textures, whatever. And I remember growing up, I was like really, really tiny, and I had these really, really big eyes, right? And so people were always giving me like Kermit names. That's craziness, right?
Yeah,
and I recall going through that stuff, and what I would do is every time I would see a brown-skinned model or like Naomi Sims or Naomi Campbell,
gorgeous.
I would put their pictures on the wall, I would say, I look like this person, and this person is gorgeous.
That's
you know what I mean? So I would find people who are my shape, my size, whatever, and try to draw from them.
Because they can do it. If they
I was
can,
like, why not?
So,
and whatever. Okay. So how about this one? Overall, any best dating advice you've ever gotten from anybody that you want to share? Somebody like your
dating advice,
Yes.
I think we kind of summed it up before. Just making sure you take care of yourself first, and then if you do that, the right person will come along and support you. The person that supports you and respects you is the person that you should give your time to.
Keep moving on your journey.
That's it.
And let them come.
Yes.
Let them come.
Don't chase.
No. All right. Well, thank you, Auntie Tori, for sharing your tea with us. We know that growing up in D.C. is hard, but Sugar, you don't have to do it alone. Join us every week for reliable answers to your questions. I'm Auntie M, Director of the High Tea Society. Send your questions to hello@highteasociety.org and DM us at High Tea Society INC. Thanks so much for joining us.
You've been listening to Ask Your Auntie with your host, Marisa Terrell, Esquire. The transition from girlhood to womanhood can be difficult without guidance. We have the tea to help girls succeed. When you can't ask your mom or G-Ma, ask your auntie.